That's basically what it's for. It's for brass for the chiefs. That's why I'm saying we might spend a little bit of it, but we didn't touch it all this year because the rabbi stayed the same, the pastor stayed the same, the Catholic priest stayed the same. The only thing is there's some badges that'll have to be bought and buttons for the chief's office, comes out of that line. And I think that's actually ordered, but we're not going to come close on that line either.
Great. Okay, the next page has your training school. You're at 789,318 for the year, so that's well online. I think you should be okay.
Yes. Yep.
Contractual clerical, so that's for your reporting.
That's for, I think we use that for Amy Cruz, that line.
Yep.
She files all the reports to the state for us.
Right. Repairs to vehicles and equipment. So that line is always somewhat of a flexing tool in your budget, I have to say. Repair and maintenance to equipment. So these are all your hose testing, your repairs, all that good stuff. Fire prevention and training. So you have some new equipment you purchased this year for training, Chief?
Yes, that was the one that I purchased, our training prop. That the one that we have obviously is well over it's falling apart. It's costing us more to maintain it and to fix it. So we bought a new training prop, and I think I don't have it in front of me because I sent it. I think I vouchered it already. I think it was $8,700 or $8,800 for that prop.
Yeah.
And it worked out good this year.
Order, yep.
Yeah, fire prevention in the schools. We're doing it slowly, individual schools, but we're not buying them all the stuff that we normally buy because everything that's going on with COVID. So that actually worked out pretty good this year, balanced out. And we also use the training prop for us, and we use it for fire prevention.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, OSHA compliance, that's staying the same amount, as well as the IMA contract amount is staying the same. And that is it for your expenditure lines. On the revenue side, we just have the fire IMA, which is what gets charged back to the town.
Yep.
Any questions on this side of it?
Anybody? Everybody's good?
Okay. We want to
What
move
are your
on.
numbers looking like, Chief? How many people are in the fire department now?
We're at about 438 members.
Is that the same as last year?
No, we're down a little bit, not a lot. Unfortunately, we had up to date, we lost 13 members this year, up to date. But we brought some, and we have a lot coming in now, so we're probably going to get right back to the number we were at. It seems like we're fortunate where we're getting membership in. But, you know, most of the ones that obviously passed were older members, none of the younger ones, thank God. And we're staying steady right now, but you know, it's changing a little bit. The younger generation isn't like the older generation. I mean, you went to the dinner with a guy 75 years member, still comes out, still comes to meetings, still goes to calls. I just wish we could.
He still goes on calls? Oh my God.
Call. He won't do anything, but yes, he will come. He'll put his vest on. He'll walk up to the command center.
He made me mark him in the other day.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I love that.
If the younger members could follow someone, we say it all the time, if they could follow, you guys are in good shape for a long. Unfortunately, the younger members, you know, they want to know what they're going to get out of it before what they're going to put into it. But it's working. We're still in good shape right now. I feel the village is in great shape with the department as far as the membership and what we have. But it's a struggle like anything else, but we're doing good right now with membership.
All right. Yeah, I like going to those things. I enjoy them.
Yeah, we just went to one the other night for a 70-year member in West Harrison. It's pretty amazing what they saw over all them years. That's a long time to be part of a.
Don't forget to let Lisa in the office know so that I can do the proclamations appropriately.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, I do enjoy going to them, so, in addition to, the proclamations. Okay, are we on capital?
Yes. Okay, so this is the fire department portion of the capital plan. Did I miss anything? No, not yet. So first line up, do you want to speak to it, Chief?
Yeah, I guess
Oh,
be easier. The first line up, we've put it in the last few years. I don't know exactly. I'm looking on here now. I think we've done it the last 4 years. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, Dale. This is the money that we just put aside. It's for the north side, for engineering cost or any cost that would occur if the village moves forward with the project with the new firehouse. Obviously, it just sits there every year, but we have been putting it in the last 3 or 4 years, just so it's there. So during the year, if something does occur, there was money budgeted for it. It was recommended by Paul Fioli, and I think the boards in the last few years agree to leave it there, just so the money's available if need to use.
oh. You see, the other chief joined you. Hello.
The next line that we have, we brought it down. We know it's been a touchy situation. Sooner or later, hopefully we can do something with the police and fire, or just the fire, get the boat back on the water again. We brought the number down from what it was. We did our homework to actually get a good price, and that's probably the best price we're gonna get towards a boat. It's not a priority, but it's something that we're looking to get back. We had it for over 50 years and we don't have it anymore. The harnesses, they've been in for the last couple of years. We moved it again until 2023 because of the standards with the NFPA standards. And we don't want to purchase something and they change the standards. So it's been a struggle for the last 3 years. So we didn't even put it in this year. We can go through the whole year because we know the standard. As of now, if it's going to change, it's not going to be till November of 22. So it's not something we need to worry about this year. The next budget we put in for was, we did hollow hose. It's not here yet, but the generator for cataract hose. We put in 150,000. I think it was the same we put in for hollow hose. I'm sure there might be little increases, but I don't think we hit that number with the hollow hose generator that we're using for hollow hose in 16 Croton Avenue. It's supposed to be delivered soon. We were supposed to have it already. But cataract would be definitely in need of one because that would be a firehouse that the village is going to keep for a long time. The next thing that we put in for is our training. This is our school training machine. The one that we have is obsolete. We can't even use it anymore. This does all our classes and hands-on training. It's a simulator. I'll read you the narrative on that for the simulator. Simulators made from line. It's a well-needed tool that will replace our non-functional and outdated system that is no longer feasible to invest money into or repair. The new simulator that will be used for fire training and for fire prevention is as real fire would be without actually a fire. It can be an important tool for training new members. It can also be used for teaching fire prevention in our schools, nursing homes, and senior living. The other one, we got a ton of use out of it. It was a phenomenal tool, but it's old. It's probably 25, 30 years old, and it doesn't work. We put money in to fix it, and every year it's something else with it. So this would take us probably for another 20, 25 years, the simulator. It's as real as you can get the fire. It actually has fire you aim certain things at it or you talk to it and it reacts to either your voice or it'll react to what you point to it. It'll put a fire on the screen and you can teach older people or fire prevention. It has a special fire extinguisher. If they use the wrong one, if they don't use a dry chem, say they use water and it was actually a grease fire, it's going to spread it and make it worse and raise the temperatures and do all kinds. It's a very important prop, and we consider it a high priority for us because we use it for training new members, and it saves us money from putting them down into the county for paid classes. So we find it to be a real good tool. The next one we have is our radios, and this is just the beginning of it. Our radios are getting obsolete. Our portables, everything, the county's changing over. They just changed the radios in our trucks right now that we just changed over to. And we have the expense next year of we have to buy a couple of these radios because they only supplied the vehicles that they did the first round when they did it. We're on 4626. We're the only department in Westchester County that is licensed to use this channel. As of right now, it's the primary channel for Westchester County. They're not happy, but there's nothing they can do to us because we're licensed for this channel. They'd rather us switch to their trunking radio 100%, but we still deal with the Austin Police's dispatching. We still have our own dispatching, and it works. They have a tower up on Clinton Avenue that Nick Franzoso has that he's willing to let us use his channel, because right now, if this 4626 gets shut down, we have no communication in Ossining. We're closed out. We only have our trunking radios available. So Nick is willing to give us one of his frequencies up in the tower. His repeater needs to be upgraded because it's old, which is understandable. And this will secure the village and secure us for Hawaii, not forever by no means, but it'll buy us some time. What we would have to do is we would have to upgrade our pager, not our pagers, our repeaters, which every firehouse has. They have a repeater in it, which is what sends the signal to us into our pager system. The pagers are going to be something you're going to see. We're already buying, we're on low band. We're already buying high band pagers, not for everybody. We're just buying them slowly at a time because within another 2 years, the low band pagers are going to be done. So we started the process last year. Instead of buying low band, we're slowly buying the high band. So when the time does come, it's not a big expense to the village. I figure by 2 years from now, we'll probably be more than halfway through that expense. Things are changing. We have no control of it. And we're just trying to move forward and keep the village. So as I put in my narrative, the radio upgrade will keep the Austin Fire Department in a safe position and secure the possibility of loss of service. The repeater and tower that we operate from now belongs to the village of Briarcliff Manor. If Briarcliff Manor decides not to use the low band system anymore due to the county changeover to a high band system, we could be left without a tower and a repeater. After speaking with Nick from OVAC, he's willing to give us one on his spare channel to operate off of. The system he currently operates from need to be upgraded to meet our needs. The Austin Fire Department will also be upgrading our repeaters in all of our firehouses to help in the near future. That will no longer be low band radios. The Austin Fire Department is the only one in the county that has a license right now to operate on 4626 besides Westchester County. And that's why we're requesting that amount in capital so we can upgrade the tower and we can upgrade our firehouses.
What's a repeater? What does a repeater actually do?
Repeater takes signal, unless Bob, you want to explain, but the repeater takes the signal that's transmitted either from the county or the police. It hits the repeater in the tower, which then sends the signal to the firehouses, which then activates our pagers, activate our fire alarms, our whistles, our horns. Everything runs through the repeaters. So without repeaters, we basically don't have anything.
So is the 50,000 no, I guess it's the 50,000 is for 2022, and it's, if it would be also for the next, for 23, 24, it would be listed here. So it's a one-time 50 grand request.
One-time fee for Goose Town to come in, update our tower that Nick's willing to let us put us on it,
Right, got it.
and it'll update our firehouse. No, that's a one-time fee.
Okay,
That'll get us through till this whole county thing, which we have no control of, because you know how the
Got it.
county, they want to do something, they do it. We don't, we just have to join or we're out. And we're pretty much, I think it's us and one other village in Westchester County that does not get dispatched primarily by the county. Our primary dispatch is our police department or our desk here. We do get dispatch from the county, but they're not our primary. Everybody else in the county, that's their primary.
why are we different?
We've always been, that's how we operate.
We're
It works.
listening.
Yeah, it works a lot better for us.
Yes.
You
Change-
like it better?
Yes, because if you go with the county and they page us out, it's gonna bring our call volume up probably 50%.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not rating, because they're gonna send us to everything. They're gonna send us to a kid needs a Band-Aid on Spring Street, we're going. They're gonna send us to call, where at least the Austin Police Department and our dispatchers, they filter the calls, so say. They know we don't need to go to an automobile accident if we're not extricating anybody and there's no fluid leaks.
Right.
Where the
So
county-
So the whole thing about the local is that you guys have a whole system set up and you know what you need to do. Is that what you're saying?
And we're in
Okay.
control of it, with the county's not in control of it.
Okay,
And it works, Rika, it really does. I mean, we're a unique village. We're known for that throughout the state, that Austin we operate different than everybody else. You know, most departments, when you respond to a call, you have to respond to your respected firehouse, wait for a crew before that truck leaves. That's a lot of minutes waiting. Where Austin, we're probably the only community left in the county. We respond, our members go right to the scene. They have their personal gear. When that truck pulls up, they're ready to go. And there's nobody like that in the county. It's just, that's the way we operate. It works real well. And I hate to see it change. I really would.
yeah. No, I'm trying to get an understanding of what this stuff is. Okay.
So
It looks like
in-
pager replacement, that's actually 23, and you already discussed that, right?
Yes, there's gonna be a cost, but it's not gonna be like we have to go out and, like, right now I have 152 members on pagers.
Okay,
That's drivers, all are active members. If you're not active or you're not a driver, or you don't come around, you don't have a pager. We took it back. For that reason, we wanted to have an accurate number, who needs to have pagers. So right now, we're at 150. Out of 150 as of now, I probably have 25 already on high band.
okay, no, we had that conversation. I just want to make sure it's the different item. All right, folks. Chief, what else do you have for us?
That's all.
Okay.
We're good.
Folks,
Everything-
any questions,
I do.
comments?
I do, before Bob starts.
What's that supposed to mean?
Same. Chief, can we go back to the last topic, because so our police chief was early in the day, and he's actually moving to a digital format radio system. He's going to be piggybacking out of Metro North right now. And I'm assuming that's,
Hey, Karen.
so is that something that because this $50,000 for what I gather is just a temporary solution to a bigger problem.
Uh,
You want me to
Not
touch on that?
It's gonna take us for quite a few years. It's kind of secure. Either way, when the time comes, we're switching into this county system. I mean, they already put the radios in. Most of our trucks are already done. Chief's cars are done. That's a trunking radio though. So we'll never be like out of touch with emergency service parts, so say. For daily operations and stuff, this would be the best way to go, because if we propose it, first of all, the police work a little different than we do. He's tying in with Metro. You have to remember, most of the communities around us count on the county for their fire radio, for their alarms being dispatched. So we have no really where to go. I mean, we're fortunate where we're with Briarcliff right now. We've been with them a long time. But like anything else, if they decide to shut down or say their board decides, hey, we're gonna go another route, or why are we doing this anymore, maintaining this tower, we're shut out. We have no control. We have no say. We don't lease it from them. We just utilize the frequency that they're giving us.
Okay, so now if you change, so I'm not sure, I guess, have you had a conversation with Kevin, because he's going to be changing some equipment on the police department as well. So I want to make sure that whatever system that you guys use is going to be compatible with whatever system that they're going to be implementing at some point as well.
Well, the police department has the same screen setup that we have here for fire. We're not on theirs. We're on a whole nother system over at the police station. So I don't think he's gonna upgrade that at all, because he would expect us to at our expense or our budget. Well, it's still all a village expense, but he's upgrading probably just the PD. He's not upgrading us. Or I assume they would have told us. So
Okay,
what he's up, strictly PD. When they dispatch us, they go on to another system.
Okay,
They don't do it through their system. They do it through ours. And then they have the same screen that we have.
okay, all right. I just, again, that's something that,
If not,
maybe,
but I'm almost 100% positive he's only upgrading his PD. If he's gonna upgrade fire, he's gonna expect us to do it. I mean, we're gonna do it if we do this, if we pass the 50, when we upgrade our repeaters, we're upgrading for them too. So they'll still be tied in with us in our system. But we're on a total different system than them.
okay, all right, understood. All right.
But I will talk to him, Kenny, and find out and just ask him, but I'm real comfortable to say he's not touching the fire system over there.
Can we, can we just double check that, I guess, at some point? I'd like to know exactly what are we doing and how we doing it, because, sometimes we think, we need to think
No, I have no
outside the
problem.
box in a way, sure, and what is gonna affect what.
No, I will definitely reach out to him and confirm that.
I appreciate that, thank you.
No problem.
I don't have any additional questions.
Does
right
anybody else have any questions
I would
or
just like
comments?
a point of clarity on, this 50,000 and the pagers. None of us are happy about it. The county, basically, this has been a 2 to 3 year conversation. And on my end of it, as the County Association of Firefighters, we attend the meeting, we tried to fight it. The county said, no, we're doing it. You're getting this, and this was what you're getting. And again, Briarcliff is strictly dispatched out of the county. So when this changes, Briarcliff's not, it's going to happen. That tower is going to go away. So we had this conversation, like the chief said, with Nick, and he's willing to, we do the upgrades. He's willing to give us this frequency, and it works. Do we want to have to do this? No, we don't. I mean, what we have now works, but the county has decided it's changing, and they have done it. They've changed it. Like he said, the new radios are in the cars and trucks, and it's just a matter of time before we lose the frequency that our pagers go off. So, and like the chief said, that upgrade, that 50,000 is headquarters, repeaters in the firehouses, and police headquarters. That encompasses the whole system that we dispatch out of now. So just to give a little clarity, if you didn't understand, what Kevin's doing has nothing to do with us.
So I have a question. The antenna you're referring to is at OVAC on Clinton?
No, it's up on top of Clinton, up on the water
On
tower.
the water tower?
On the water tower, yes.
Oh.
And it's an older system. It needs to be worked on. And, we all met and came to, Nick was very amicable and sure, not a problem. You can have my frequency, so we're helping each other, and it works. It's unfortunate that this has changed, but you can blame the county for it. And we need to make moves. This will hold us for a while. It's not temporary.
Well, I do like the idea of being more autonomous in this regard versus having to rely on like Briarcliff or whoever. You know,
Well, it's worked in the past, but what's gonna happen is when that D-Day comes, we're gonna want to go to a fire. We're not gonna hear each other because they shut the tower off. Because they're not gonna maintain it because they're not using it no more. When that day is, I don't know, but we need to be ahead of the curve because as the chief says, minutes make a difference.
Does anybody, Dana, do you have any more questions?
no,
Okay.
And just one thing, just to add to that, the new system that they gave us and the radio that we have to buy next year, the ones that only the three chiefs have them right now. It's a handheld radio. It's not a car radio. It's considered a portable. They're $9,000 a piece. Compared to the regular portables that we're using now for $600 a piece.
And this is part of why us as the county, my association, was fighting this because we'll give you the radios and the trucks, but everything else you got to buy. And we're fighting a fight for all of the towns and villages. And it just didn't go our way.
Okay. So, anybody else have any questions, comments? Looking at the gallery. Chief Sanchez, any comments, questions of the board? I never get to hear you talk. I only get to hear Scott. I'm looking for, give you a little opening here.
Oh, another year, you're gonna have him, Rika. You'll be able to talk to him all the time.
So Scott, I'm going to be very bold here and tell you one of the #1 complaints I get as mayor about the fire department. I really never get complaints. I get lots of compliments for you guys. The foghorn. Any of these pagers reduce the need to have such a loud piece of equipment on top of our village building that is, I get a lot of complaints. And it's not that it shouldn't be done, that it is really, really loud. Is there anything we can do to lower the volume a bit? And I know that Bob Fritchie, oftentimes I'll send him something and say, could you please answer as a
Yeah,
trustee?
and
But
Oh.
I'm gonna tell you, it's like one of the top complaints I get in general, not about the fire department, but just because they don't even know it's the fire department. They think it's a foghorn from ships passing by. Yeah, I know. I get complaints from Westerly because they think
I
it's
mean,
actually right by them. They don't
I
even
can give you,
realize
I
where
can
it
give
is.
you, I understand the loud part of it. A lot of it is people, oh, why do you have the horns? You got pagers, you got phones, yes, we do. And you're required to have 2 means of notification. So technology fails. A battery could die in your pager. You're out in your yard. Listen, when I first joined a couple of years ago, that's how we responded. There wasn't this technology. You know, you woke up in the middle of the night because you kept your window cracked, even if it was 2 degrees, to hear that horn blow. Is it annoying? Yes. Can it save somebody's life? Can't put a price on that. You know?
I'm not arguing that.
No, I know, I
I'm not
know.
arguing
No,
that.
I know, but you know,
But we're
just so
looking
everybody
at,
else could answer that question if they do get asked.
I
You
know,
know, there's a
but
reason why there's a secondary means of notification.
understood, but we're doing all of this upgrades in technology. And one of the reasons is that they're the primary sources now. The question is if somebody can look at how loud it is. People actually, and even when you tell them it's for the firehouse and stuff, they get it. A lot of these people have moved from other areas where they just don't have this kind. It's really loud. And by the way, disruptive to people who are your colleagues who work at the place. That's why I said I'm going to be bold. I really would like you guys to look at this. And if you can lower it a couple of decibels where it still reaches, we're not that big of an area. It would be appreciated by the people who live in this community. I personally, you know, I've just sort of gotten used to it, but there are a lot of people that really get scared from that and their animals get scared and all that. And I'm not being cute, Scott. You understand that, right? I'm just sharing information with you that we've all seen the emails. It wouldn't be right if I didn't share the information with you. I get it, but on one hand, we're spending a lot of money. And by the way, I'm happy to support the money being spent on upgrading technology, on, as Dana White said, being autonomous, because I take your word for it that you don't like what the county ended up doing. You know, we're saying this in a public meeting, it's all recorded, somebody from the county will hear it. We're good. I can't speak for everybody else on in the gallery. I'm supportive of it because I'm not a professional, but I do live here like all of us do. And it really is one of the top, and it's an increasing complaint. It isn't, even when we explain it, it needs to be looked at. It is amazingly loud.
Can I jump in for a second, Rika?
Yeah.
I'll just give my take, which is the reason that it seems incongruous to living in modern life, anachronous, because we have all this technology, is also because I've told people the same thing that Bob has told us. Well, you know, the firefighters are volunteers. They're walking around. If they don't have their radios or whatever with them, this signals to them that there's an emergency happening. And then the response that I get is, well, we have police and OVAC as well, their emergency services, but they don't use that kind of system. And lives are on the line just as much for those other services. So why does the fire department have this very specific need that at this point seems just so out of touch with the way that folks communicate, and seems to be more of a nuisance than anything else? Then what tends to happen, what I see, is that it becomes almost like a culture war conversation where, like, keep the horn. Like, I go to other municipalities, not just Ossining. Like, I was in Sleepy Hollow visiting a friend, and their horn was rocking. And so, you know, I don't know to what extent it's like a tradition thing, and we like keep the tradition, and that's what it's all about. But as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to justify the technical rationale, particularly when there's only one emergency services department that uses that kind of response.
And the key answer to that is,
I can answer.
oh, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. You can't compare us to OVAC and the police department
Nope.
because they're staffed and they're paid. We're volunteer. So, and all of our members do not have radios. The chiefs have radios, and our deputy chiefs and our safety officers. If we had to staff every one of our members with a radio so they could eliminate the horn, that would be fine. The horns are like everything else in the village. They're old. Yes, Rika, we could definitely do a system that would tone it down. We would have to go to the new modern system, which is electronic. So it would be an expense on the village, but it could be done. The ones that we have now have what they call reeves inside of a horn. The police, 16 Croton Avenue, whatever firehouses have a horn, they have a compressor, and the horns run off air, but minimum air. They run off like 60 pounds, which is very low pressure if you know air pressure. So we have no way to tune them down. We could go to an electronic system, but it would be another expense on the village to go that route. Also with these horns, like Bobby mentioned, they're not just blowing and making noise. The horn will blow. We have areas in the village. We have 4-1s. We have 4-1s is the inner heart of the village, the business district. We have 112s, which is from the heart of the village south to the town line to Briarcliff. We have 113s, which puts us from the center of the village to the town line going north, and so on. We have box calls. When them whistles blow, they're not only blowing just to make noise, they're blowing the box. So in other words, if you don't have your pager or you don't have a radio, you just count the whistle. It's going to blow 1-1, and then it's going to give you 3 more whistles. Okay, that's a 113. I'm going to start heading to the north end of the village because that's where the call is. And that's how the guys responded to these things. OVAC and the police department are staffed. They're there. When their call comes in, they get it immediately. They're gone. Our membership has to travel, drop whatever they're doing, eating, cutting the grass, anything, being at the ballpark with your kid. You have to drop what you're doing and go to where the call is. If you don't have your pager, then you're counting on that horn to say, listen, that's a 114, that's up this way. I'm going to go to Independent Hose and get on that truck. So they do have meaning to them, and they are used. It's not a waste. If you want to tone it down, then the village would have to go to the modern system, which is electronic, which a lot of the towns do now, but it would be an expense. If you want me to look into it and do my homework on it, I have no problem doing that. But it would
So-
be an expense to the village.
Right,
only-
so Scott, I very much appreciate, first of all, I, as always, doing these budgets, learn a lot. So the signaling part of the zones, super interesting. I didn't realize that actually is helpful. I'm hearing that you can't tone them down. They're either on or they're off. That's it. You know, there
Yes.
isn't a way to, it's not a radio. I can't turn the volume on or off or lower it. So I'm not in control. I would appreciate as a matter of exercise so that when we speak to the pub, say, look, first of all, they serve a purpose. No, they can't actually, there isn't a volume gauge on this. So we can't do that. And thirdly, yeah, we did look at it and the expense of it is too high to justify. Now, maybe it's not too high. Maybe the board next year will say, okay, you know, willing to pay whatever that, if you can look into it, chief, I would appreciate it. I mean, I think the board would. It's just worth once in a while to see what these things cost. So you could at least say, I did my homework. We don't think it's a rational expense, or I did my homework and, you know, we're willing to pay for it. If it works the same way and you guys are happy with it, if you find something that you like. I don't think as long as I've been a trustee that anybody's offered to look at the prices, or maybe they did and I didn't realize it. But maybe once in a while it's worth, if you
Well-
can, investigate. And I already, you know, now I have more information. So it's very helpful.
I
If you're-
support
if you're able to do
into
that,
what
I
Tom
think it would be
said.
appreciated.
Just to add to it, Rika, too, we have, because like Bobby's 100% correct, we're supposed to have two means, you
Right.
know, of notification. We have tried, we went to an emergency, we have a system now. It's not like we don't try. We're on a system now that it sends the alert to the phone system, you know,
Mhm.
to everybody's phone. The problem is we used to have one that was very, very good, but it was very expensive. It was out of our budget. We used it. But then after we went over 100 members getting notified, the rate went through the roof. So we had to go
Yeah.
to a cheaper one. Now the cheaper one that we go through, 1 week we're good. Everybody's getting the alerts on their phone. Another week we're shut down. We have to call them. What's going on? Oh, we're having issues. You know, so we did have a good system that we were using with the phone. But then all of a sudden, you know, the prices went through the roof because we have a high membership. So it's not like we haven't tried to help with
Yeah,
it.
nobody's saying that you haven't. I think every once in a while it would be, and
We
it's
do
not
try.
for this year's budget. I would suggest that, because I don't want to pressure you in the next, you know, week to do it, but I would appreciate for the next, just so we can do our homework. And by we, I mean you guys, and let us know what's going on. And look, I understand it's like everything else in technology, as you have more membership, whether it's cellular phones or constant contact, they sort of jack up the ongoing rates on one hand. On the other hand, you're then obligated by all these packages like you do with technology. So I just think it's worth looking at so that we can, as representatives of the public, just say, hey, looked at it, doesn't make sense to us. I just do want to share with you, it's not just a questioning of the fire departments. People do send us a lot of emails, or at least they send me a lot of emails about this.
Yeah,
But
we get-
I can answer it now in a better way than I could before.
But a point
We
of
could-
interest there is back in the day, and I'm talking when I first joined, the streets each had a code. Like where I lived on Park Avenue, it was a 4-7. So that meant 11 blasts 3 times. All right, so that's 33 blasts. In the I believe it was in the 80s, we changed this to minor alarms and general alarms and town calls, which is minuscule amount of blast, you know, but I gotta find one of the old call sheets and I'll show it to you. You'll be amazed what
Well,
used
Bob,
to
the
be set up.
truth is that for people who come from areas that don't have any of it, they don't have the history of what it
Right.
used to be. All they do is say, I can't understand why the stuff keeps going off, you know,
You
so.
move next to the
that's all.
airport, don't complain about the airplanes coming in.
Well,
it's-
but, you know,
Rika, it's so old, the system is so old. We don't even have a company that would repair
Yeah.
it. When we have a problem with it, Chris Cruz, who's one of our members, also a village employee with the water department, is very handy. So he's the one who repairs it for us. He doesn't charge us, but he's pretty much the only one left that can really play with these. Like when they sound like a bullfrog on Croton Avenue, we have to send Chris there because no company even wants to deal with this system anymore. So I
Okay.
definitely agree. It's obsolete and it needs to go. But I'll do my homework for you and I will.
If you don't mind, again, I'm not asking for it in 48 hours for the
No,
next
nope.
budget, because I think it's just worth saying, look, we've looked, either you might find something or you might not find something. As far as all the rest of it, I think we're good. Does anybody have any other questions for the chiefs? I'm seeing no's. Okay, well, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
Thank
you.
evening.
you, Scott. Thank you,
Thank you.
Luis. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank-
folks.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Next up, we are back to rec with the capital budget for recreation, and then we'll be talking with Mike Garcia about the youth bureau.
So just so we're all clear, we're gonna hear about all the capital requests, and then the board will figure out yay, nays, maybes, sort ofs, and everything else in one conversation. It's same thing with the fees, so we can get a sense of what everybody is asking for. I just want to make
So-
sure anybody watching this understands that.
So we'll look at the capital budgets for everybody, and then on our wrap-up meeting, we'll discuss the capital budgets in more detail. So you don't necessarily have to make a decision today on anything, but it's to really absorb it. Then we'll go back and forth on it. Some of the things, like I said, and that's why I think we're going to be a little bit longer on the rec capital budgets. We're just getting costs I sent you earlier that really need to be discussed probably in a work session so that we can put them in greater context. The purpose of the capital budget right now is to have general idea for placeholder numbers, so that if we do decide to go, we have earmarked that money. We certainly don't have to spend it if it's in the budget, in the capital budget.
Right. And it's not final until we actually do a capital resolution that the board approves. And then we either, if we're funding it from, our own funds, fund balance, or if we're doing a borrow for it, there would be an associated bond resolution that would follow up with that as well. So this is
Right,
just.
but it doesn't, that's, the point is that the public needs to know that us going from one to the other is not a yay or a nay. It's just gathering information right now.
Right.
Exactly right. And then obviously during the course of the year, as projects come up and they're bid,
Right.
then we finalize that.
Okay.
Okay. So
So the first project is here for the community center. So
I'd like to speak to this because again, we just got these numbers. Bill and his staff and Andy have been working with Nexus. We had talked about a series of phased in improvements over time. And the total is, and again, these are ballpark numbers. We're nowhere near there's things that we have to discuss. There may be things in here that we may or may not want to do. So this number could change depending on how far we wanted to go with the final design. But we had broken into phases, and you had received that email earlier today. I don't know if it's helpful if you want to look at it now, or we could talk about it at another time. It's perfectly okay to leave this in here for now, knowing that that money could be spent over the next 3 years. If we got the DRI, maybe it's spent sooner. I don't know. It's hard to say right now. Or we can look at it more granularly. It's really up to the board.
So I don't know if everybody had a chance to read your email that was sent out. I think there's like 6 phases if you really look at it. but-
Or
Yeah, but they're like subgroups to each, because some repeat some build on the one before, and at least the way I read it, I think people should look at it. What did it cost to build the Caputo Center?
what did it cost to build the computer center? That was way before my time. Bill, I don't know if
In
you
the
have any
1980s.
historical data on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I only ask because this is, I don't know what I was expecting. As sort of the total cost when we did that very quick walkthrough. I looked at it, there were things on there that I thought were like, oh, there were sort of just some ideas, and all of a sudden they were on a piece of paper. And some of it I think we're missing. So I don't know. I guess people could look at it before we make some real decisions.
I don't
Looks
think,
like it's a $2.5 million.
I think that's
capital
a
expense.
conservative estimate. And I think that the way we have to look at this is that this probably has to be refined. And the way we should look at for the capital budget is, you know, if we decide that we want to have this in the budget as something to consider, similar to how we've had things like, you know, other things in the capital budget, whether it's the soccer field and everything else, during the course of the year, I think, you know, in early next year, I don't think we're going to be able to resolve this by the time we adopt this budget. Because I really think we have to go through those plans and look at them very closely. So my recommendation would be is to develop sort of a 3-year allocation based on what we think is reasonable, using those numbers as a ballpark, knowing that those are placeholder numbers. I don't know that we can do much better than that at this point.
Okay. What is everybody else okay with that concept? You want to, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the email that was sent. I mean, it's very detailed. It's not like, you know, it says things like a cafe or, you know, the walls to be painted. I mean, they're pretty specific. It's not like.
I mean, and then there's, you know, we did it in phases, just so
Yeah.
everybody understands that, you know, from my perspective, if we're going to talk about, there's like sort of really have to do's and then nice to do's. Cafe would be under the nice to do. I think there are other things that, you know, that we really should do and really should prioritize. So there's definitely a lot that can be done with paint and flooring, you know, which is a relatively low cost. The priority, the first year project, what we'd really like to see is a focus on reorienting the entrance there and making it more permanent. So instead of having a screener in a folding card table, you know, making a window and reorienting the front space to put somebody similar to how you have the desk upstairs, but really create that downstairs. And that's incorporated in stage 1. The other areas, I think the senior, the all-purpose room downstairs and making some dedicated space for the youth bureau area. That can be done in a variety of ways. So we can also look at this in terms of things we can do now so that we're continuing to maintain the space, as well as things that we could do going forward if we get grants or if we decide to invest more as we develop more robust programs.
Okay. What I think would be helpful, Karen, for me, is it's shared with the town, and this is an area where it actually makes a difference what the town is putting into it, if anything, like the kitchen. It would just be helpful to have a unified conversation so that we can look at it holistically. And I'm not just talking dollars and cents. I'm just like, you know, maybe a kitchen is really important to the town, but not important to us. But if they're going to do most of it and we just need to put a little bit, maybe we should do it. You know, like it's
Yeah. And
there's a
that's
few things on there that are really shared by both municipalities, and it's hard, the way it's written, it's not necessarily written that way, and I understand why, but this might be one of those we need to sit down together conversations.
I think so. And I think the town, we can, in looking at a sort of a discussion about this, talk about what the towns, because the town has Bill, what is a $250,000 grant to redo the kitchen for the senior nutrition program?
I don't think it's that much, but
It's, I think maybe all in with the match, it's close to that.
Yeah,
So
that was the total amount. They have to match it at
that was the total.
oh, okay, yeah.
So they already got that money and that's in progress, and they have been talking to Nexus about that. So it is in that context from planning. We also, again, this is another area that we'll be talking about our IMA with the town, and the fact that town residents do, in some cases, pay higher fees than village residents too for certain programs. Isn't the rec fee higher for town? Or am I
Only
getting
for the
that?
only for the pool.
It's only the pool. So, you know, there are certain things that we have to look at in that context of the IMA, but I agree when you're talking about capital improvements,
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
another discussion that we also have to have.
realistically, you know, the fact that they have money to do something, they go forward and doing it, but let's say you change the flow of traffic. And we cannot sit here and have the tail wagging the dog. And in this case, the tail is not the town. It's the consultants we all hire who then manage things and we just sort of sit back. And I don't like that feeling and I don't think the public likes that. It would seem silly. We need to sit in the same room and say, look, what do you need done? What do we need done? Who's getting grants?
So
For
from a
what, you
staff
know, and have a
perspective,
real
that is
conversation.
done. From a staff perspective, so I wouldn't want people to think it was a tail bit wagging the dog and we only have consultants. From a staff perspective, we're pretty tuned in to what they're doing. What I'm thinking though is as we go forward, because we are going to need a work session to talk through these plans, because I think it's really impossible to really know exactly what you want to do till you see plans and then really look at them more specifically on, because we may want to change what the priorities, the board may want to change what the priorities are as we're.
Yeah,
doing
we're saying the
things.
same thing.
Yeah, so like I said, but I do want to make the point that on the staff side, these conversations are had. I think it's making sure that the board and the public recognizes that as well.
Well, yes, except that the board needs to make the decisions on how money is
Yes.
spent, when and how. So it's, unless we're in this and unless the council from the towns in it, no, it actually needs to be discussed unilaterally. And even the way I read the email, it's just some of the things that are put on there based on the conversation. Who else? Manny, you were with me on that walk, right? We did one walk that day.
Yep, correct.
Okay. You know, there's lots of discussions. You know, for me, the community center is literally one of the most important pieces of real estate in Ossining. You know, at least it is for the village. I'm sure the town feels the same way, but I can't speak for the town because it's a place that is actually open to everyone and used by such a diverse group of people at so many different times of the day and for so many reasons that, you know, we certainly should spend time on this and we should know all the different elements that go into it so that when it's done, it doesn't look like a bunch of boxes, that it actually looks like something that has the right flow, has the right tone, has the right material. And based on everything we do, you know, we get pricing and then it always ends up being more. So the whole idea of also managing the dollars, you know, is really important because it's really adding up. It's now at 2.5 million if we were to do all the recommendations.
So I want to say that is, again, a conservative estimate in the absence of having that discussion. So it's really just a placeholder number. That number could fluctuate significantly and we could still do significant improvements.
And if I read it right, the youth bureau was included in the 2.5. That came to like somewhere around 200,000, maybe closer to 300, depending on which phase I looked at. Is that right?
Right. And again, it depends on whether or not we decide that we want to, we looked at the space in terms of space optimization. So what you're looking at is the sort of like, if we wanted to do everything, this is what it could look like.
Right.
And this is what it might cost. But that doesn't mean that we have to do that. And I don't think we've had that discussion. I think to the degree that we have it with the town, we have to recognize that, you know, the town has a certain function within that building and it's pretty set where it is because of the location of the current kitchen. However, aside from that, there's a wide range of flexibility and probably, you know, opportunities to get more input from the community. We've been working with the Recreation Advisory Board as well. So as well as Bill and his staff. So again, this is very preliminary and we're not far ahead on approving plans or approving costs. But if we are interested in moving forward with this during 2023 and exploring it further, then we should have something in the budget so that's really the purpose of this. But it's not, you know, I think that there's a lot of questions that I have too on some of this. So, and I think that the staff would want to see this done. You know, again, this is just a ballpark figure. conservative
Okay,
ballpark
any-
right here.
All right, I guess we should go through the rest of this through
I'm
parks.
sorry,
Oh, it
Mayor.
goes all the way down. Go ahead.
Excuse me, Mayor, I actually have questions on this one, sure, and this is overall my concerns. I will hate to put a number on something that is just a concept. We signed a contract with this consultant group at the beginning of the year. We are at the end of the year, and I still yet haven't seen a suitable proposal for the whole space instead of just concepts. A concept to me means nothing. So my concern is, it's not gonna be a 2.5, even with the breakdown that we have here. I'm looking at it right now, regardless of how we put the faces together. So to me, in a way, it has been unacceptable. It's been over 6 months. I have yet to see them present something solid to us. There's still more coordination. So me personally, I'm not comfortable with putting anything on the budget. I would love to put something on the budget. Trust me, because we've been talking about this for a couple months, actually since last year, since we established the youth center, because I believe that we needed to do some upgrades. We needed to do this. But right now, it looks like we're going to be spending another 6 months the way we're going right now to get something in there. And again, it's not going to be $2.5 million. It's going to be more than that. Now we're talking about roof replacements and all this other stuff. So we're still talking about concepts. So I'm not 100% sure in how we're going to, I mean, me personally, how am I going to handle this whole thing?
So I wanna just be clear. The roof replacement is identified in a separate line item.
I know.
But what we're saying here is, and yes, in that regard, it could be more, but I actually think this, in my opinion, it's more design services. So it's really reoriented the space. There's very little in terms of moving physical walls. There's very little in terms of, the major cost here would be if you wanted to open up the windows in the art room to make it.
There's a lot of
doors on the
mechanical
outside.
components, Karen. It's not just moving walls. There's a lot of mechanical components between lights, HVAC systems,
But
new
to the
configurations,
degree
all
that
that stuff. So it's a little
Yeah,
more
but I'm not sure
complex
that
than
we
that.
necessarily have to do all that stuff. And a lot of the HV, that's covered under different lines. That's not necessarily part of
So
this,
again,
so.
without seeing a drawing, without
Exactly.
seeing
But
something,
that's,
I don't think, me personally, and I'm not going to speak on behalf of the rest of the board.
So-
Me personally, I cannot honestly say, yeah, we're going to put $2.5 million.
I understand that, and I agree with you. So I'm not going to defer to Dale or, however you want to do this in the budget, because we can do it any way you want. It does seem to me that at the very least, we have to invest in upgrading some of the space there. We have walls that haven't been painted in a long time. We have things that just really cosmetically are not good, and from a security and safety standpoint are not good. Those things need to be done. No, those things need to be addressed in the short term. So we can identify a much lower number for year one and revisit this next year. We don't have to put the whole 2.5 million in, but there are things that need to be done. Some of them are identified in this plan in terms of the space at the on the first floor and upgrading some of the rooms, because the space is not a night. We have to, this, as the mayor said, this is our most important real estate, and we're not treating it as if it is. So I think we can break out some of those things and do a much more conservative budget for 2022. And then maybe hold off on refining that budget till we're more comfortable with the vision for the longer term.
And I could agree with something like that. I mean, a couple of years back, we did put, is that the $100,000? I thought it was a
Yes.
little bit more than that we put in. So how
That-
much?
So when we do the capital, if you guys all read that email with the different phases, if you could argue, okay, I'm gonna say, hey, Dale, put phase 1 in for 2022, put phase 2 and 3, and I'm making it up, Manny, I'm just saying, for 23 and 24. Like, we could do that. If you don't like what phase 1 is, that's a different bucket. They say, you know what, I appreciate that's what they think is phase 1. That's not what I would do in phase 1. They're sort of separate conversation. If you sort of like the cumulative process of, yeah, I agree that phase 1 is the highest priority, that's what we're gonna put in the capital budget, and that comes to X. I think they actually were hoping that they would write it up that way so that that's what we would react to. The question of whether you think that's what should be done or not, that's actually a whole different conversation in some ways. Because you might say, I don't agree with this. This is not what I had in mind. This is not what I would want done for this community, etc. And I don't know how far RAB is involved, because there's nothing in here that tells me whether the people that we have appointed to that committee, what they've actually done, since I haven't seen anything from them about this particular topic. So, and I don't want them represented by people. I want them to represent themselves. So it might be good to have them come in and say, hey, on this project, these are some of our thoughts, concerns, etc. That might be actually helpful to members of the community. So Manny, can we look at everybody? Can we just look at that? And when we get back to the capital, I think what Dale needs is like, well, tell me if it's 0 for 2022, or if you want to put 1,800,000, you know, whatever.
Right, or you.
So we could put a placeholder.
Right,
Yeah,
if you
just
don't
let me-
want to put a value, you could put a TBD to be
Right.
determined, you know, as well.
Right.
I just want it known that this 100,000, none of that has been expended to date. So, you know, if you wanted to do some, you know, those minor things, you know, in the meantime, that money is there and could be used for that, because that was transferred from the general fund balance.
Okay.
Thank you, Dale. So I'll be okay for now to have it as a TBD and have a deeper discussions with the consultants at some point, I guess. Hopefully it's not another 6 months. But just to understand what is actually being proposed. Again, they're talking about the square footage. It's not just the square footage, or, you know, I'm sure they're putting in number for square footage, and that's how they're doing the calculations. So I would like to understand this. And the mayor, like you mentioned, it's not just that, but we also have to do some sort of coordination with the town as well. So, and what does that look like? So it's a little bit more complex than just changing it. Look, I'm fine with putting another $100,000 and doing some painting, some, you know, changing the floor, putting some LED system on it, maybe reconfiguring the entryway. That is something simple that we can do. I don't have that problem with that. I have the problem with putting a number that yet we do not, or I have not seen a presentation to the VOT with a set of drawings and actually seeing that. It's like, this is what we have. This is what we want to do. This is what we are proposing, not a concept.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. So again, we were sort of working back here, but I wanted to put at least some context to the discussions that have gone on. But I think that approaching it that way makes abundant sense.
Wait, I think we have to start somewhere. So, you know, you got some, if they didn't give us that memo with the phases, we say, well, we'd like to see different options of what they're having in mind. You know, it's like, got to start somewhere and throw the stake into the ground and then move it around a little bit. So I think that's helpful. I don't think we're making decisions about anything capital. So we've had the conversation now. The staff sort of gets an idea. Dale has an idea. Karen, thanks Dale for letting, I should have realized that we didn't even use the 100,000. That's not going to get us very far if you look at
Can I ask a question? The 100,000 is from what?
Was for.
It was originally appropriated for community center repairs, improvements, and security enhancements, which I think evolved into this bigger discussion essentially. So that's why this amount has not been touched on at this point. So that's why
Dana, if you might recall, there was a conversation about how the security checkpoint should be downstairs, not upstairs. And by the way, really what we should be doing is doing some painting, doing some fixing. It'll be about 100K, and that's what that was for from last year. It was a little bit of a minor, let's call it facelift, very minor, you know, just to make the place look better. Although I thought that room where you put the new floors down looked really nice.
You could possibly use that, some of that a little bit to reclaim space, for example, from other things. But
That's in the phases too. So
Yeah, very subtle,
again,
Dana.
I don't know what to say anymore. So.
You're allowed to say that part.
you're allowed to say that part. It is a space with a lot of potential, and you know, it's no different than, you know, whenever you start a project, and this is something we always struggle with. I think that we have a good sense, though, of the most essential things that need to be done, and a better sense than we did even a year ago. So going forward this year on those essential things should not be an issue. But we should really, you know, we have an opportunity to think about this in a broader way in terms of really making that a state-of-the-art space. And I do believe that with or without the DRI, there's other opportunities through other programs to be able to secure funding. What's always hard is when you don't have that vision and plan, it's hard to identify the things you want to secure funding for.
Right.
So it's a little bit of back and forth, and it gets frustrating, but I think that we do have a stake we're ready to put in the ground. But we can go forward. This is not you know, thankfully, this is not a project where we had to do it yesterday. These are things that we really are probably on target for.
Okay, I think we can move on. We have a whole pool, well, we have the chillers, the endless discussions about chillers. Okay. Did any of that get done in 21?
No, they were not moved.
Okay, so we appropriated 125, but none of it was used. Because
Yeah, why
why did
not?
we do it?
The we're waiting for, I'm trying to recall now, because Andy was the one that was on this project.
All right, so could you just put this
Yeah.
on the board and we'll ask Andy why it wasn't done?
I think it was another sort of supply and demand delay. So that's another thing that we're dealing with too. We didn't have an easy time, you know, things aren't moving as quickly on some of these things
Right.
as
Well,
they
if
could
you
be.
look at the 2021 column, it's filled with numbers. And I don't think a lot of it was done. We you know, we were asked to appropriate
Right.
funds and it wasn't done. And now more, you know, more things.
Right.
So
Well, it may be
what's
part of
nice way to
the-
ask this question except to say what's going on here?
Our chillers may be sitting in, you know, containers on container ships or something. I mean, it's really hard to get stuff right now.
No, it's hard to get stuff, but if things are being asked and they're not done, then those things either should not get done in 22, or they're the first things that will get done in 22, which means what we're asking for in 22 isn't going to get done because 21 is still going to be worked on. That's really, it's an operations question. How much of this 21 stuff has been done? What needs to continue? Am I only looking at the thing that says FY 2022? Not really, because you have to look at 21 and say, hey, this wasn't done, so it's supposed to be moved into 22, isn't it?
Bill, do you want to speak to the status of these projects?
Yeah, so the pool dual pump and connections, that was completed. The pool roof repairs are completed. The pool resurfacing, we were supposed to get the engineering specs last week, but they didn't give it to us, so we're following up on that. And the spray pad has been completed.
So the only thing that should be moved into 2022 is the 100K pool resurfacing, because that wasn't done.
Right.
And is that what you want to, because that's not what it says. That's not what this shows. This doesn't show 100,000 being put in 2022.
These are in the 21 column because they were approved in 2021. So anything that's in the 2022 is for new items that the board has to approve going forward.
So I guess a question, Dale, though, is if something's been done already, but it's still showing up in the 2021 line, can you just explain that if these projects have been completed?
I can put a notation. Yeah.
Okay.
See, like on Veterans Park, I put down here that the resolution is in 2021, but the project is 2022.
Right, exactly.
With that, I could do that going forward, sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's, yeah, okay.
Yep.
LED lighting, hold on. So now we're up to the parks.
Yes.
So that vets basketball has been completed. The hockey rink is what we're looking for for 2022 to do a resurface of the rink.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes,
Is that getting stripped and then redone, or are you patching and going over it with a whole new surface?
they would patch it and then go over it with acrylic.
Okay, and the kicker boards, are they gonna be replaced?
Yeah, we're looking into those boards and all the kicker boards and then also the basher boards. So we got a lot of them that are cracked.
Yeah, well,
We
that
can
came
start
from,
replacing
that
those.
came from winter use. That's not a good, that's not designed for winter use. I think we learned that lesson.
Yeah, as soon as the puck hits that when it's cold, it
All over.
cracks it. Yep. So the pavilion roof, we did not do that. And what we want to do, that pavilion is the bathrooms at vets. So if we go down a little bit and over to the request for 2022 is we have the Veterans Park restrooms. So that is where those restrooms are really old. We've got some electrical problems into that building itself, and along with the pavilion roof, it just, at this point, it does not make sense to keep putting money into that. So we're looking and requesting to do a new restroom in there, which would also go along with a new playground that would be in there and doing some paving. So it seems to be the right time to do all of these things at the same time, to have a very nice area with the new restrooms, playground, and walkway into that's area.
So does the 220 include the 8 and the 160, or it's additional 220?
So the 8 can come out. So it'd be additional 220. Let's see, just going down that 4,000, that was done. The little fencing at the lower level, that was completed. And then the playground, of course, we just talked about. And then the paving. So that's that project at vets.
Bill, can I ask you an overall question?
Yep.
I understand the pool portion, the resurfacing, because you still haven't been waiting for the engineer specs, and that's been a while, so I'm not even gonna get into that one. But what do you think was all these capital projects that we allocated money from general fund from 2019 did not get completed last year? Besides, I know the pandemic, but is there a reason, besides that? What do you think was the complications on this?
Which ones are you referring to?
In general, why was the roof not completed? Why little things like that were not completed? Was there a specific reason why those projects not completed?
The roof was not completed because looking into that project more, and we had some electrical problems and putting money into that. And the electrician telling us that we needed more money, getting complaints from people about the restroom, and looking into the possibility of getting a grant to put a new playground in. We held off on just fixing the roof, where we said, wait a minute, we want to go bigger with this and put in a whole new building. So that was the reason for that. The basketball was done, the fencing was done. Playground is new. Restrooms is new.
I'm just talking about the projects that were not completed. So in regards to I'm going to piggyback on the roof, because you're here, sure, and you just mentioned that. So now that the roof project, which was supposed to be an $8,000 project, it looks to me that it became a little bit more like $60,000 project. Sure, just putting a number out there. So how come you're not asking that number to fix all the other issues that you found to make that restroom area better?
I think it's because the restroom is extremely old and outdated. It does not meet ADA compliance.
But hold on a second, that's not what I'm asking. So what I'm asking is, how come you're not coming in front of us to say, look, we need to renovate these restrooms, and this is what I'm hoping to get from you guys as a capital project. Instead of the $8,000, now I need $100,000 to make a new restrooms that comply with everything that we need to do.
The restrooms are on here. So Bill, I
You
think
have-
it's confusing because you have the pavilion roof and then the restrooms are down
So
here.
the pavilion is the restroom.
Okay,
So maybe we should just, and I think that's the part that, okay, so let's piggyback on that. So now you have a set of drawings, you have specs, you're ready to go, and you have a budget number of $200,000.
No, this is just an estimate to put.
How did you come up with that estimate?
We got estimates for the restroom.
How did you get estimates from the restrooms if you don't have drawings?
Well, yeah, we do have drawings.
Oh, that's what I'm asking. Okay.
Okay, yeah, they gave us drawings and we have estimates.
Okay, so you have architectural drawings and engineered drawings?
We don't have engineered drawings. We have the architecture of the modular. It's one we looked at is a modular restroom that is put onto a concrete slab. So that's the one we're looking at.
Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so you came up with $200,000. So there's not going to be any additional costs after that, sure?
Well, the restroom itself was 185,000, but we have to take down the existing restroom. So we have to take that building down. So we were adding additional, again, estimating costs to do that.
So in reality, what we can do is, and they'll help me out with this one. So we do have allocation of $8,000 from 2019. Is it fair to say that we can take those $8,000 that we're not utilized and take that and put this into this $220,000 and reduce that
Yes.
amount?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then, okay. So go ahead. I mean, I think that this format always is somewhat counterintuitive. It took me a long time to get used to a municipal budget versus things I was traditionally used to seeing, but it's a little bit deceiving in what looks like wasn't done versus what was done.
I thought for some reason we used to put completed on one of the sections in here. We used to have a line that said completed. Am I wrong, Dale?
I don't remember it on this schedule. I know we've done other,
Could be that I'm thinking of something
capital
else.
project presentations,
Yeah.
that I may have included in that. I mean, I'm so willing to change this format, not a problem. I said that to Karen last week because I agree, it can
It is because of.
somewhat voluminous, so to speak.
That's-
So that's a question to the board, really. What would you like to see? Would you like to see the projects that were still going on in 2021 and maybe are completed to have it show completed? Or if it's completed, just take it off the schedule?
For me, and I can only speak for myself, sure, I would like to see obviously the projects that were completed in 2021.
Right.
And if they were still ongoing, because there are projects that are ongoing, sure, it hasn't been completed. I would like to see ongoing project, and with a deadline of, 6 months from now, whatever that case may be.
Yeah.
But to me, that would be helpful. So I can see like, all right, because that is part also of the vouchers. Because when we do the vouchers, you have that information in there. And I see capital projects that we are still paying. I was like, but that was completed, but we just kind of have to pay that to a couple months after that as well. So
Right,
I mean, the arch, the Broadway bridge, was completed, but there was still some amounts of money that we paid early in the year, or that we reconcile anyway. But you know what I'm
Right.
saying. But I
yes.
think to me it would be
Because
helpful.
final retainage is a year after, substantial completion. So that can really throw, things off. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Dale,
yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, but Dale, I
No,
think that like just easiest is like even like just like highlighting or, some sort of marker to say, if there's a C after it, it's complete or something. But
Right.
you don't have to do
Yeah.
that right now, but just to,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit, less confusing.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so do we want to move down to Snowden? Park?
Did you mention too, this is the Vets Park, the 160 is, that's what we're getting the DASNY money for. So we're just waiting for the grant agreement to be signed. But we'll be getting $150,000 to do the playground.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, so that, we had
That's
done a
good.
resolution for, so I did try to put a little note on that one.
Yeah. You did.
Oops, sorry.
Okay,
Snowden Park, improvements?
those were completed. Except for the, well, the fencing we're asking for in 2022.
Great. And then that is also slated for a restroom in 2023. Going out.
Right.
Okay, Nelson Park,
Nelson Park, the basketball surface, has not been completed. We're looking at putting a sports tile down in there, and we got quotes from a number of different vendors. Many of them, all of them except for one, are on the Sourcewell consortium so that we could buy directly off that. However, I got a quote for doing the same project for almost half less than what we were quoted on the Sourcewell. So I think that we need to probably just go out to bid on that. It's, the savings is pretty substantial. So right now we can't do any work on it because of the patching that we need to do because of the weather. So it will have to be a spring project. We are going to get the backboards in though, and if we can get them shipped, we'll get those in before the end of the year. So the new backboards will be in there. The sport tile system is a fairly easy installation. It's usually done within 2 days. And it's gonna, if anybody's interested, I can send some pictures of what it'll look like. It's gonna look really sharp.
great.
And then that basketball court lighting, that was completed.
Okay. And then you're looking to do the irrigation of the tennis courts?
Right. Where's that? I don't see that. Can you scroll up? Or down?
Oh, sorry.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the irrigation, it's like with the original irrigation there, those are clay courts. They need water. They need to be on timers. They need to be watered numerous times during the day, especially during the summer when it's hot. What we have there now, it doesn't cover the whole courts. So it really needs to, whole system needs to be installed with new heads and new sprinklers. And the, and then the electrical upgrade evaluation. Yeah, those aren't for this year though, right?
Okay, that's 2023. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And then Nelson Park Playground equipment.
Right. So we have a damaged, most of the playgrounds that we have in our parks are nearing 20 to 25 years old. The average lifespan on a playground is about 20 years. So we're getting right to the end of these. When something breaks, finding a part to replace it is extremely difficult. And we've had that problem at Vets and also at Nelson Park. There is a piece that is broken, that is old at Nelson Park. What we'd like to do is pull that out and then put in a new, more adaptive playground structures that would be more for youth that are on the spectrum, more pieces that would provide stimulation, access, getting people into the park. So it's just a different type of apparatus to have in the park that we don't have in any other park right now. So I think it would be a great unique feature for Nelson Park Playground.
Sorry, Bill, you're talking about the seating part?
No, Nelson Park. The playground if you go down the backside of Nelson Park, the
Okay.
playground, it's on that side.
I thought for some reason as a
Yeah.
different name on it.
Sitting Park, we hope to get money
I know,
through
that's-
the CBG
That I
grant.
know, yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, paving at Nelson, that was,
Yeah, the paving at Nelson, we have not done. It was really to do that road, the kind of the service road in there. So we have not got to that.
okay, great. Other park improvements? So these were benches, picnic tables and grills and garbage cans.
Yep. The picnic tables, actually, we're expecting them soon. That they were ordered months and months and months ago, and hopefully they're finally getting to us. Garbage cans, we just finally picked the one that we like, so we're working with getting that order in. And we've got the grill on order as well. That grill was going to go up to next to the small little pavilion that's park. That's got the fireplace that's by the pond, if you're familiar with that, and putting a grill in there and kind of making that a picnic area for people.
And the benches?
And the benches, we ended up buying, because of the COVID, we ended up buying more picnic tables. So we just switched the amount from the picnic tables into the benches, but I think we also ordered 2 or 3 benches as well to replace a couple of broken ones.
Great.
So yeah, we're in good shape with that.
Can I ask a quick question about the urban soccer complex at Snowden Park? I see that's for several years out. But could you just, I'm just not familiar with that project. Would you take out the baseball field?
Yeah, so we had that, we moved that out because of the work that we were hoping to get done in the community center. So, but basically, yeah, so the baseball field there's at Snowden is an issue because it does not meet the safety requirements of the fencing and the space. So you really shouldn't be playing baseball there because there's no room for spectator safety. We consulted with JCYS and they felt that they don't need that field. They didn't use that field for 2 years. So we've let that grown in and we're going to make that, our idea is to make it a small-sided soccer area, to have 3 to 4 small-sided soccer fields there. The whole project there would be to put in turf and lights and boards that would go around and making it a top-notch facility that would be used, basically from March through end of November by the soccer community. So that's, we'll put that down there and hopefully we can get to that someday because I really do think that that's going to be a valuable project for this community.
But you would leave the basketball court and the skate park.
Correct. The problem with we really need some site design and engineering there, as part of that project. And in speaking with Karen, that's probably what our first step will be, is getting, not this year, but down the road, is in future years, is getting money to get approved to get a design in there. Because once we go in there and have to do all this, we have to make it ADA compliant. And right now, where the parking lot is at Snowden and where the bathrooms are, you would have, if you were in a wheelchair, you'd have to go out on the street to get to that bathroom. So that's a problem. And even walking, there's no walkway from the upper ball field down to the bathroom. It's just people walk down a hill and the grass. So those are all issues that we need to take a look at.
I think that, I love this idea. Bill and I have been talking about this for some time. I am concerned about creating a facility that would require, a lot of parking and be disruptive in a neighborhood too. So I think that as we look at
That occurred to me too. believe me,
as we look at this,
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, Bill, I know like we've identified Snowden because of the baseball, but like that's such a residential neighborhood and the parking's so limited. Like, I'm wondering if, like, when we look at this, like really look at it, look at vets, look at other places where it would be potentially less disruptive and we can maybe figure out a way to accommodate the parking a little better.
Yeah.
Those are my big concerns, because I do think, well, the thing is, I think it would be hugely popular.
Yeah.
But I think that popularity could work against us in certain areas in the village.
yeah.
I
was
mean,
gonna say,
oftentimes, you
yeah.
know, these parks were not designed, and their intentions were not to be fields for play and sports fields. They were designed as little parks. And the community grows around it, but we do have a lot of parks in Ossining. Certainly the town has a whole bunch as well, but we got to really be careful about this. I agree with you. It's when you drive by there, it's a tight knit neighborhood and overbuilding, even for something really popular. But you know, Snugger has a lot of people that come to it. It's not a wiffle ball with 4 people playing. It's a lot of people.
We might even want to talk to the schools at some point, Bill, and see if we could do, you know, like, let's just, I think there's potential here, but the site is going to be mission critical, because if you get the kind of like the turnout that you get at a football game, which you might for a facility like this, then the location is going to be key.
Okay.
So I think that that's another reason we really need to think this through, given the popularity of soccer.
I used to go to my son's Little League games there.
Huh.
And, you know, the parking is limited. It is a community, you know, you start putting lights up. I can tell you all about what happens when lights go up at a field beside your house. So it would increase a lot of people coming down there into an area that's already a little bit tight. I just wasn't familiar with the project. I was just curious to hear more about it.
Yeah.
I can send you, I did a PowerPoint a year or 2 ago for the board, so I can send it to you, Dana, so you can
Okay.
take a look at
Yeah,
it.
but we had the same issues a year or 2.
Yeah, no, I just to give
And
her
to
an
be
idea.
honest, I'm not seeing the issues being resolved. I'm seeing the same project in the same square footage being put up in front of the board again. And this is when we're doing capital projects and this, like, putting up the similar projects with no difference to what the board objected to the first time. And it's not just Bill, it needs to be thought out, because just to keep putting things up is not really the purpose of these budget meetings. The purpose is to say, okay, there were some issues with this. What do I need to do differently that resolves and answers some of the questions that were brought up? Because this is exactly what was brought up last time. And
so
nothing's changed there, you know?
So that's
it's-
really why we pushed it out, and that's part of this discussion, because this was how it was approved last time, but we know that there were concerns, so we didn't have the opportunity to more recently discuss those. But I think that if I'm hearing everybody correctly, and we don't disagree, that as we look at this, and as we push it out, we really look at the location, and that maybe Snowden Park, for various reasons, isn't, and look at the viability of what it could be like in other locations.
And maybe something you have planned for another location can work well in Snowden with some thoughtfulness
so-
and
so
some
again-
adjusting so that you might flip it to some other location, given what you need to have soccer being
Yeah.
played somewhere.
Yeah, so that's
Pickleball-
really the purpose
pickleball.
of this.
Pickleball courts.
So you
Oh,
guys
and
might
kickball.
laugh, but do you know that it is now, as of a few months ago,
Huge.
because God knows I've been sent the articles, once Vanity Fair wrote it. Do you know that it is one of the biggest sports in the United States right now?
It is. It's incredible. It's going, there's a new
It's the
magazine.
fastest growing sports in the United States for people of all ages. And there are like rap stars that play it and like all this social media gurus it's unbelievable. a few years ago was the first time I ever heard of it, and now all of a sudden it's one of the biggest sports in the country because it's for all ages apparently, and etc. So
Easier than
Yeah.
tennis.
anyway,
Great.
where are we?
All right. That is it. If there's no other questions for capital. Are we good to move to the Youth Bureau?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go.
I'm here.
All right.
Karen, you're
Bill,
muted.
thank
I
you.
think Bob, Bob wrote me, texted me that he needs to jump off a little while ago. I don't know if he texted to everybody else, but he texted to me. I didn't look. So just letting folks know, okay?
Bill, thank you for that. I think we need to know too, a lot of stuff that we didn't anticipate got done too, not least of all 80 trees planted. So your guys were busy. So congratulations.
And we got the tree out of Wishney Pond today too, that big tree that fell down.
Great.
Okay, now that you brought up my favorite topic, trees, do we have warranties on those trees for up to a year? Is that what I remember? in the beginning?
Yes,
We
we do.
do. Yep.
Okay, Maddie, somebody, I don't know when the year is up, when the year started, when the year is up, but a few of them are dead. So
Yeah, the gentleman from the DEC was here a couple of weeks ago meeting with Bill, so we have a couple of recommendations on a list.
Oh, that's good. Thanks. I got a couple of notes from people. Apparently, we have a lot of experts in trees in the village of Ossining. Who
We
knew?
do.
So yeah, a few of them died. And I remember you guys being very smart and saying, hey, these guys are really good. And we even have guarantees and warranties. And I was like, yay. So that's great. Thank you.
Great. Okay.
Hello, Mike. And
Hello.
Bill Garrison is still with us, right? What is
Yeah.
happening with my gallery today that I am not seeing everybody in one spot? Okay.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Michael.
Hi.
Your
Oh,
first.
you prefer Michael?
Your
I'm
first
sorry, I thought you
official
liked Mike.
I was trying to be your first official budget meeting.
We kept you
I know not
waiting in
to-
anticipation.
Well, I know not to plan anything on this day.
There you go. We like to make sure everything's covered, so
Okay.
that includes also for your department. So we will start off with your 100 lines, which contain you and a senior rec leader position for the 2022 budget year. For the part-time line, we have 15,000 budgeted in general part-time, and then 16,000 budgeted for the summer youth employment program. Do you want to speak on that?
Well, those were through the summer youth employment grant. Yeah, those are through the grants. And so basically we're paying youth over the summer. And there'll be other grants coming. There's one that I'm working on right now to implement, where there's work readiness and work opportunities for kids to participate in and get paid while they do it. So that's what that was, and that will continue into 2022 with sort of a different approach. And then the goal is to each year, with budget willing from the state for summer youth employment, for our program to grow.
Perfect. We have an amount in for equipment for computers. On the following page, we have a small amount in for office and supplies expense, as well as a small amount in for professional dues and meetings. And then we carried over the same amount to 2022 for materials and supplies as for 2021. So no increases for those lines.
Mhm.
How do grants fit into this budget?
We're so glad you asked that.
I mean, I see the words, but I'm just trying to understand how we're looking at grants.
So we're gonna, we've created, every time we get a grant, we're tracking it and we're identifying it, and then it's up to Mike here to make sure that all the invoices are marked as to their grant allocation. Dale, I don't know if you want to expand on this. So this is a little bit different than what we typically do. So maybe you want to talk about it.
Right.
Took us a little while to get here.
And we didn't realize there were so many opportunities, which is fabulous. But we also don't want them to get lost in the shuffle along the way. So I have created different tracking codes on the accounting system so that when Mike sends up the invoices to be paid, he's going to indicate on there which grant that they are attributed to. And that way we can cleanly keep track of the grant expenditures and get reimbursed accordingly, because most of these grants are reimbursable grants. So it's a process in the making, and we'll tweak things as we go.
Yeah, all of these grants are 100% reimbursable for whatever we do the budget for.
All right, any questions?
Dale, I'm not sure where the narrative went. That went, is what's being sent to the board?
That was in the budget document, yes.
That goes to
So,
the board.
yeah.
Right.
There is a
goes back.
correction. There's a correction on there that needs to be made.
Just, you can email that to us.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, unless it's substantive and you want to mention it, but
I mean, it's just as simple as, for the Youth Bureau from the Open Door, we're 2022 is the third year of a 5-year grant.
yep,
That's the only clarification on that.
okay.
Other than that, it is accurate.
Great, thanks.
I haven't heard this much silence the entire day.
So does anybody have any questions?
I do. Is the Youth Bureau get funding from county, state, or federal sources?
The grants that are there are primarily through the county, and some from the state through the county. So the SRAEP is actually a legislative grant. And the others, I believe, Open Door is, clearly Open Door, and the others are through the county.
Yeah, the summer youth employment was a private grant that came through the county.
Like, I'm sorry, 2021 was year blank of 5?
Was year 2 of 5. 2022 is
Will
year
be
3
5.
of 5.
I have a question. How many
All
kids,
right.
if you wanted to expand your program ideally, how many kids would you be working with? Like what kind of number?
That's not an easy question to answer. When it comes to the work, if we're going to continue with summer youth employment, it really depends on what the amount is that we're given, and then how many slots we can develop.
Okay.
So for this year, we got 15,000, and then from that is how we developed our slots. Because you're paying kids $14 an hour, we're doing all the administration on it. But some of that is through Rec Jobs 101 in the work readiness. But basically, it just depends on the grant. And so some of that is through conversation with the county, but also what the state gives for summer youth employment overall.
Okay.
So it's definitely early days because you really just started up. So next budget year, I'm sure we'll have a much better understanding and more information. So thank you, Mike.
Okay, thanks. Have a good evening.
All right,
You
thank you,
too.
Mike. Congratulations on your first budget meeting.
Thanks.
We're gonna do it the same way next year.
I hope not.
Don't count
More
on it.
money, but we're gonna do it the same way. The amount's
Mhm.
gonna be different, much more.
Okay, great. Thank
All
you
right,
so
thank you.
much.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye.
For the rest of the board, we did not get to IT. It is almost 6 o'clock. We can move it to Thursday, or if you want to keep going, you just let us know.
For me, I'm ready. For me, this is a good place to stop.
That's fine.
If other people want to do it, I think IT will actually have a more than 15-minute conversation.
So, yeah, potentially. So I think that is probably true. So why don't we put it, we'll schedule it on Thursday, and worst case scenario, we can do it on Saturday, the 12th, if we need that time.
So when are we meeting next?
Next, we're meeting on,
November 10th.
In place of the work session,
the
we're having
work
a budget
session.
meeting.
Okay.
Starts at 6.
Okay.
Thank you
Well,
all.
folks, good
Good
first
job.
day. Feel like we got a lot done. Really very much appreciate all the work everyone is doing. I think we had some questions, and the stuff that was sent to us today, for those of you that haven't had a chance, from the community center to the other stuff, probably well worth reading. Looking at the fees would make us move more quickly when we all get together, by having our opinions sort of highlighted on the paper. So we're not going, I mean, I'm just going based on experience in the past, that we would go back and forth over, $5. We start arguing about amounts and stuff. So I would just suggest that we come a little prepared on some of the stuff. Now that we have the information in front of us, Karen, I didn't look, or Maddie, of anybody from the public that was on there, and I'm trying to actually see it now, and I'm having a hard time.
the only person who viewed it was Sue Sylvester. Otherwise, we haven't had anybody else.
Okay, well, that's
And
interesting.
she just watched during the police.
And did anybody ask for a copy of the budgets?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you
Not
all.
yet.
Anybody have anything to add before we say goodbye till next time?
I did want to tell you where it was posted on the website, if that's helpful, if you want me to do that.
The quiet voice from behind the picture of the village of Ossining speaks.
My camera's on my other screen, so I would be, it's just a weird setup. I have a short cord. So it is listed obviously on the treasurer and finance page. It is listed on in the left-hand gray links where it says 2022 Village of Ossining tentative budget. It's also on the budgets page, and there is a hyperlink to it on the Board of Trustees page, as well as on the Office of the Village Manager's page.
Where is the budget page? Hold on. I heard everything you said.
I'm sorry, the
actually.
budget page is part of the finance page.
Oh,
So,
so you're thinking most people go to finance.
well, I mean, most
Find
people may type budget, and it'll give them 6
Right, if they're
places,
using
and
the
it's-
search
and it
bar,
links
yeah.
to the same document. Yeah, it's just all different ways to map there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll also provide, a little bit more detail. We have some numbers in flux on IT. I think that the key takeaways for IT is that we were doing the budgets with one form of IT, and when we were doing the tentative budgets, and now changing, we were anticipating that. However, the net is, we'll likely see a budget reduction because we've lost a salary and fringe at a pretty significant level. So from an operational standpoint, there should be, if anything, it's going to be net positive for us. There will be a few capital, like one-time costs that we're going to see, and then some ongoing fees to, for upgraded security, but they're not significant. They're well within. I don't see any problem because this budget is also spread over multiple funds, the water fund and such. So we shouldn't see any disruption. If anything, I think the net, it will be a net gain against what we're proposing. So I just want to put that out there, and we'll put some more detail as to what you can expect from that. And then we're wrapping up the RFP to get it out next week to solicit for agencies, firms, consulting firms for next year. So we will keep you posted.
Okay. Thank you all. Thanks for all the work. Dale doesn't look any worse today than she looked a few weeks ago. So,
It's amazing.
I'm feeling okay.
I got my hair done.
Just had no sleep.
These are only, these are secrets you're not supposed to say on a recorded message. But everybody looks like they made it through okay. All right. Anybody have any comments? I already asked that, and I know Karen commented, but anybody on the board? All righty, folks. Obviously, I'm going to say to anybody if they need to reach me to have any offline conversation, whether it's the public or board members or staff, always available, happy to talk. If anybody has questions, opinions, comments that they, once they mull some things over, don't hesitate to contact me, please. Probably having coffee on Saturday morning downtown. So feel free. Thank you, everybody. Yay, 2022 budget.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.